Hi, Fashion Dolls. I'm back. Did y'all miss me? It is Transformation Tuesday. Also, it is Jackie Robinson Day. On this day in 1947, Jackie Robinson broke the MLB color barrier as the league's first African American player. It is important that we preserve his history and his legacy. With all of the erasure of black history from this administration, it is important that we preserve our legacy and our heritage as we continue to go forth on and further in our future. All right, so I had to throw that out there. But our very special guest today, Fashion Dolls, is the co-founder of Forecast Media. He is the host of Stop, Look, and Listen, and he is also the co-host of The Good Old Boys. Please join me as I welcome my very special guest in his first time ever exclusive interview here with me in the dollhouse at an earlier time. Hi, Nurse Chula. Hi, everybody. Did y'all miss me? I'm loving this hair. It's giving Diana. Megan Thee Stallion was the inspiration for this hair. If you go back and you look at the Bongos video, I wanted something that was big, that was voluptuous, that was all of these things, and this hair is definitely that. Loving the new looks for this season. And it is springtime. Please forgive me, I'm putting on my little fan over here because I don't want to melt. But let me go on ahead and share this live with my very special guest so that we can get him in here. All right? I hope you all are doing as fabulous as I am. It feels so great to be back. There's so much craziness going on, but I want you guys to kind of have an escape. I know it's a lot going on in the world, but I want you guys to just have an escape today. So without further ado, let's welcome our very special guest, Fashion Dolls, LaTroy Gardner. All right? You got to flip it around. Flip it around.
Miss Stevie, how you doing?
Hello, handsome. Hello. Welcome to the dollhouse.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for the invite. You glammed up. Love the look.
Yes. Such a pleasure to have you here, and it is such a pleasure to meet you. I'm such a fan of your channel. How I got introduced to you was through watching your interview with Don Robinson, and then I seen your interview with Felicia Rashad, and then you did one with Raheem Devon.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, we got to collab. We got to do something together because I want to know more about your story. I've also interviewed Don in the past as well too, and I think I've sent you some of my interviews to check out as well. So it's great
Exactly.
to finally meet you. It's great. It's
Yeah,
great. It's great.
you're doing an
So
amazing job. I'm
thank
proud of you.
you. A lot coming from you and your story. I'm inspired by your story, how you started off, and we'll get into that. But it's such a pleasure to have you here. So before we kick off this conversation, how has 2025 been for you so far?
It's been it's been heavy, obviously, with the change in the presidential administration and the government. That's obviously been a drastic adjustment so far. Then personal life, buying a house. So still in the process of completely moving in and getting comfortable. So it's been kind of draining, and of course, still trying to deliver the content that my fans love and appreciate.
Yes, and you said I'm doing an amazing job. You're doing an amazing job because on your platform, you touched on finding your birth family, a lot of things you've touched on your platform. And I want to commend you for that, being able to be transparent and be vulnerable. And I say this all the time with people to be able to share their stories is enough for people to get to know you and your story because it might be people who have been through a similar situation of finding out who their biological parents are or you've covered genealogy on your platform. You covered a lot of things on your platform, especially on the Good Old Boys. I just seen one of your posts where you talked about the state of America and things. And I understand that's why I started the show off. Today is also Jackie Robinson Day. So on this day, 1947, he was the first African American player from the MLB. So it's important that we preserve our heritage, and I love what you're doing on your platform with bringing awareness to this and bringing on guests who are sharing their stories and saying, hey, this is history. How can we preserve our history? How can we protect our history? We're speaking of history. I like to start from the beginning of the journey. Now, you started off washing milk trucks. So tell us about that journey. How did you begin and how did you get your start to this big platform that you have?
Wow, you have done your research. I'm impressed.
I,
You've definitely
I, I'm like
connected
the
with the
black Barbara
content.
Walters, honey. I have to stay on it.
Now, so I was born in Beaufort, South Carolina. Um, like you mentioned, um, had a period of time where it was just me and my mom and my grandfather, my aunts, my uncles, and it was pretty much a all hands on deck mentality.
Oh,
And I was always connected to my grandfather. My mom would say that I was wherever he walked, I was pretty much tugging at his leg, following him everywhere. And it's still that way to this day. Like he's my hero. Um, on weekends, he would go to Coburg, the milk company, and wash trucks, and I would follow him.
yeah.
And he'd give me like $20. We take some ice cream, and that would get my days, get my weekend started. Just getting extra money in my pocket, and just as a kid, I always um, had strong faith, strong foundation. Just believed everything would be okay no matter what trials and tribulations. No matter what cards I was dealt, just always had a strong sense of optimism and knowing that one day things will get better. So I just always just kept chugging along, kept plugging, kept pushing, kept trying to find myself because that's a journey within itself. Just always trying to find yourself. And I'd say like late in high school, I just loved listening to radio, loved watching Sports Center, and just the theater of the mind, just the way that a host could just control um, your listening pleasure, your entertainment. And I was like, yeah, this is something I want to do when I grow up, like whether it's music, sports, or the news. Like I just dibbled and dabbled in all of it. So I interned at the local TV station in high school, and my mentor Juan Singleton, he just pretty much um, exposed me to all of those areas, covering football games, basketball games, school board meetings, going out on his beat up van to cover like breaking news stories, whether that's crime or, like someone breaking ground on a new business. It was just that exposure. I think that's where I learned how to just appreciate the story in everyone. Everyone has a story, and I think I cover that now with Stop, Look, and Listen. I don't have to interview a Don Robinson or Felicia Rashad every week. I
Mm,
can interview, the guy that is, that spent 20 years in jail and got out and is now a reclamation project. I can interview um, a doctor trying to find a cure for sickle cell. I can talk to uh, the person growing up in Compton that started making funnel cakes and started their own business. So it's just being able to tap into these stories. We're all human. We all have journeys where we go from 0 to 100. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're world famous or you're a millionaire, but just that story of achievement can resonate and inspire the next person.
and what else I love about your platform, because when I watch, I get your shorts notifications when you pop up and you post your shorts
Hmm.
on the Good Old Boys, is that you have a collective of black men. and everyone has their own opinion on the platform. And I've had co-hosts here with me before, but we've all collectively we try to mirror each other's opinion in some sort of way. But collectively, this here, you guys showcase something different, and it's always speaking to what people are thinking. And the
Mhm.
job of us as the host of these platforms is to say the things that people are thinking. So shout outs to you for doing that. And like you said, you don't have to interview these big names every day. It's people out here that want to share their stories as well too, especially in these times where they're trying to erase us as Black people. It's important that we preserve our history, our lineage, and tell our stories as well too, better than us, before they try to rewrite it or erase it or push this back or push that back. So it's important that we do that. Now you said Beaufort, South Carolina. I'm in Bamberg, South Carolina.
Bamberg.
I have a
What?
brother
Really?
in Charleston. Yes,
Yeah,
yes, born and raised.
yeah, I would pass by Bamberg a lot. It's like, especially like you said, going to Charleston and going to Frankie's Fun Park and to like Citadel Mall. Yeah, I would pass through Bamberg.
Yep, that's where I'm in. Born and raised down here. And I have family in New York. I have family in North Carolina, but my brother's in Charleston.
Hmm.
So yeah, born and raised down here in the Carolina. So that's why we clicked instantly. That Southern connection. That was gonna be my next question for you is what do you think it is down here in the water? Because there's so much talent booming in South Carolina. I mean, we got Chadwick Boseman, may God rest his soul, Viola Davis, Charlemagne the God, there's so many.
Yeah, I mean, I think that for so long we've been underestimated or, belittled, felt like we're not on the same level as people from, the New Yorks and the LAs and Atlantas. But I think a lot of what we bring to the table is just those life experiences, being out in the field with my grandparents, hustling with my
Mm,
grandfather and uncle, selling, produce and um, trying to make a dollar out of 15 cents, just figuring out, um, making self-diagnosis of how to create certain things. We just know how to um, just figure out how to execute in our own unique way, and then we have our own unique language, the way we communicate. It's
come on.
um, it's something that I feel the world is really paying close attention to now, and they all want a piece of the pie. So I think like with Charlemagne, he's been doing it for over 20 years. He's always repping the Low Country or the entire state because his wife is from Colombia, and I think like him spotlighting the Geechee culture, like you said, Chadwick with South Carolina, even the success of the South Carolina Gamecocks
Oh,
women's basketball
oh
team with
yeah.
Don Staley, like the Gamecocks, the Palmetto State is buzzing right now. Like there's a lot of us repping. I still I still carry my SC um, with a badge of honor. Like at the beginning of the Good Old Boys, Mario, the host of the show, he says where we're from Allendale, Fairfax to Beaufort, South Carolina to Columbia to Myrtle Beach. We're the good old boys,
Mm.
and we've been doing that for 15 years. It's we're proud of it. Like you can't take the South out of us. Like Andre 3000 said, the South's got something to say, and South Carolina definitely has something to say.
And I want to give a very special shout out to my brother. I call him my brother. He's not my biological brother, but I call him my brother because we have created this bond. And I'm pretty sure you know him, LaTroy. My brother King Jives. Shout outs to my brother Demario King Jives for coming in here and just popping in and showing me some love. I was trying to keep it together and try not to break into this. Thank you so much, brother. Thank you. But
Yeah,
it's
thank you.
wow. It's so great to be able to form a community and the good old boys.
Yeah.
How did you create this platform where you have a collective of Black men? Everyone has their own opinion. Yeah, and we see it on other talk shows where it's a collective of a panelist. of
Hmm.
everyone having their different opinion. You know, The View, for example, you had The Talk, and so many others where you had at least five people on the panel, and everyone's opinion was different. So, how did this collective of Black men come together? Because we don't really see that. We see it in some spaces, but rarely, very, very, very rarely, that we see Black men as a collective share their perspective.
Okay, so this dates all the way back, I'll say to 2000. So we all went to college together, Winthrop University in Rock Hill, South Carolina. And Mario Washington, he created a collective called the Royal Fam. So pretty much all of the black college radio shows at Winthrop University, they were under him, under the royal family. Um, I started doing a show at WINR my sophomore year, and it was called The Dungeon. So I did that show with several co-hosts, Promise Young, Ronnie Wilson, Kelly Usher, and you know, just continued honing my skills. And a little bit later on, I was like, I'm kind of bored playing hip hop all the time. I love R&B too. So then I created a show called The Bedroom, and The Bedroom is still on, our network, Forecast Media. But I did that show with Mario. Me and him hosted The Bedroom, and we just had an amazing chemistry. Just playing off each other. We share a brain. Like a lot of times he'll say something, and I was just thinking that as well. So we just continue to cement that bond. And I'd say my last year in college, I think it was 2003, I created the Good Old Boys radio show. And it was myself, Mario, and another friend, Kimberly Shaw. We did it that whole year. It was primarily skits, sketch comedy, um, but it was fun. It was different from what I was doing before. So like fast forward to like 2009, we were all out of school, you know, in the real world. I was in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, working at UNC. Had the itch to do radio again. And Grand Wiz or Wafiq, one of my co-hosts on the Good Old Boys, he lives in the Triangle in Raleigh. So we just connected and was like, let's see if we can figure out a way to do a show. So we went to Duke's radio station, and they were allowing us to, come in and train and do a show. And one of my friends, Octavius Burris, he threw out the idea. It was like, y'all need to come back and do a show. So myself, Mario, Wafiq, and Q, um, we returned as the Good Old Boys. So from 2009 till the pandemic, we were pretty much doing the Good Old Boys. We were syndicated internationally on stations in Europe and Asia and in the Caribbean, internet stations throughout the United States. Like we had celebrity interviews every week. So, I mean, you name it. You want to go hip hop? We had like Black Rob, rest in peace. We had Exhibit. We had DJ Quick. We have, um, I'm just trying to think. So many. R&B, Bobby Womack, rest in peace. Donnell Jones. Um, Actors, Antonio Fargas, and sports stars, you name it. They all came on the show. And yeah, it reached a point where with the pandemic and the boom of this thing called podcasting, we slowed down a little bit. And then the idea of Stop Look and Listen came about because I still wanted to have those conversations. But with the Good Old Boys, like you said, we all have different personalities. But it's barbershop talk. It's typical of what happens when you go in a barbershop or you go in a beauty salon. Everyone has their own opinions. Sometimes you start shouting at each other, but at the end of the day, you shake hands and it's still love afterwards. So, like we're all from South Carolina, but we have different upbringings. One guy is Muslim, one guy is, I'd say, kind of atheist, and then you have another one that's been married for a real long time, been with his high school sweetheart, and then you have another one that kind of went through a lot of hardship in relationships and finally found his queen. And all of those opinions come together under one roof.
Wow. Yes. And it's just like you said with the barbershop. When men go into the barbershop, it's because my father and my brother, they would go all the time. And I remember going in there and it would just be guys talk. They would talk about sports. They would talk about all of these things, the current state of the world, all of these things. And then for me, having this platform, being a woman, it's difficult having to balance everything. But I try to make sure that I also let men give their opinion on this platform as well too. So that's why I added male co-hosts, and I started doing that around the time that the pandemic started
Yeah,
because I wanted to shake it up. Yes, people get to see the woman's perspective. I couldn't get it out. Yes, you get to see my perspective, but I also want to make sure that men are included as well too, because in order for us as Black people to have these conversations, you have to make sure that you're including everybody, and you can't leave anybody off the table. And that I believe is what it's going to take for us to move forward if we continue to include each other and not shut out the next person's
right,
opinion,
right.
even though it can be tough.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, and that's what I think that's what's lost in journalism, if journalism still exists. I mean, that's a conversation for another day. Is that I feel like news media has become so segmented, and excuse me, the yard man is coming to do his thing, so that's the buzzing
Oh my
noise in the background.
goodness.
But that's what happened when we had like these segmented media platforms, like how Fox News is more to the right, and for a while CNN was more to the left. Um, is that they're not getting everyone's opinion or having a balanced platform, and I think that's what's why this world is so screwed up is like everyone's just so stuck in their own viewpoint and they're not open to hearing or understanding anyone else's.
And tit for tat, my colleague Bubs the God, another one of my colleagues, tit for tat, Al, we've discussed that is you have to be able to go in the spaces where you're uncomfortable
Right.
and have the conversations that need to be had. Now, would you see me on Piers Morgan? Absolutely not. No, I would not go on there. But we need to have these conversations. Do it in a way where it's informative, and I do it in a way where it's fun, where it's educating people, and it's also entertaining. Because discussing politics all day or discussing the state of the world all day can become boring to people, and it's just like it's depressing
Yeah.
turning on the news. And I just had a conversation with one of my friends about that. My brother K-Tube, shout outs to him, the K-Tube spot. Should you guys head on over and check him out. He says that watching the news sometimes can be depressing. And I do it in a way where it's so revolutionary, where it keeps people engaged and be like, wow, I didn't know this and I didn't know this. As well as yourself, LaTroy. And that's something that I can't stop giving you your flowers for, which is you make it fun, you make it entertaining, and you bring joy to it. Even some of the heavy topics, like the one we'll get into next, where you had to really tap into finding out, okay, about your biological parents. Like that's something for somebody to trace these things, like in real life, and find out, who are my parents? Where is my history? Where did I come from? All of these things I have to track back to. Everyone has a story, and that's what it all boils down to. And if you're not able to hear out the next person's opinion, then I don't know what to tell you. Because if we sit down and listen to each other without just blaming, blaming, you'll
Hmm.
have a better outcome of a better positive conversation. And these conversations can help us bridge the gap and build community and form community, especially in these times right now. Now, I'm going to go back to what you said also about the pandemic and doing the good old boys. How difficult, because I know it was difficult for a lot of us as content creators. We never experienced anything like this in 2020 where we had to social distance. We had to stay away. Everything was shut down. It was difficult for a lot of us creators out here. So, how did you manage through the pandemic?
Um. So I was in North Carolina, pretty much in the house every day. I went like 2 months without a haircut. I never go that long without a haircut. I usually get one every 2 weeks. So I was sitting there trying to grow waves, which I was unsuccessful. But I worked from home because UNC didn't have students on campus. Everybody pretty much went home and worked remote and took classes remote for a while. Eventually, students started coming back where like some classes would be like 2 days a week and others would be 3 days a week. And then I would start showing up 3 days a week as well. But for the most part, I was able to work from home and also travel and visit my parents in Alabama and spend several weeks with them, which I couldn't do beforehand. So um, it had it had a lot of cons, but it had some pros. I was able to meet my wife as a result of that. But I created Stop Look and Listen. I actually came up with it before the pandemic. Me and Mario, as always, we'll just be on the phone, just talking, and then sometimes I'll go to sleep, and ideas will start cooking while I'm sleeping. I have my phone next to me, save some of those ideas in the phone, and wake up, then start developing it. And yeah, like I said, the pandemic allowed me to put the time and energy into that, where I was telling telling these stories, interviewing people from my hometown, people I went to college with, um, you know, family members. Like I've had a few relatives on there. My cousin Tyshawn Gardner, who's like a pastor and a civil rights activist in Alabama. I've done stories on helping families that you know lost loved ones due to law enforcement, racially motivated, giving them a platform to speak. So I just wanted to do interviews that I felt had depth to it, and that I was also challenging myself because I didn't want to just have conversations with musicians all the time because I could do that in my sleep. So I felt like it was important to kind of broaden my horizons and challenge myself. And I think was it was getting that Felicia Rashad interview that made me realize it's like, wow, I'm I'm actually accomplishing this goal. Um, Even though we did hundreds of interviews with the good old boys, it was primarily Mario doing them, and sometimes myself or Jasmine would sit in as well. So I conquered a fear with Stop, Look, and Listen because I was afraid to do interviews by myself. I didn't think that I could kind of be point guard and carry an interview for an hour by myself without Big Brother Mario, by my side. But he encouraged me. He was like, "No, you got this. You were built for this, and get your reps up," which I did, and now it's just it's easy. I feel it's like I'm looking for a new challenge. I'm like, what conversation haven't I had yet? I need to have this. Like, so out of some of the recent episodes, having Angela Fowler who's blind and she's fighting for DEI for those that are visually impaired. Like that was a conversation I felt challenged me, and it was an amazing conversation. Um, Having those conversations with Micah Anders, the genealogical expert, you know, that was something that also was a new challenge. So I just look for interesting stories, whether it's in my comfort zone or not. I just want to talk. Like I said, everyone has a story, and then I try to figure out how I relate to it. That way, I can throw my own personal anecdotes into the conversation as well.
Absolutely. And as we're learning the other person's story as well, we are revealing bits and pieces about ourselves. And it goes back to me when I had my co-host as well too. Everybody had their own personality, but you learn to step out and share bits and pieces of yourself. Again, it goes back to that vulnerability. And that was going to be my next question for you. When have you stepped out on fear? Because I've seen you post something where it said, "When are you going to tap into your purpose?" Or it was someone you were sitting down with, and then you asked. The caption read a powerful, powerful headline, and it said, "Tapping into your purpose." I think you interviewed someone, and they were talking about how to tap into your purpose. So for you, stepping out on fear, what is stepping out on fear looking like for you?
I mean, I think, I mean, I'm kind of going through that chapter now where I I don't know if it's stepping out on fear. I think it's stepping out on faith. Like I mentioned earlier,
Mm,
faith is something that I'm extremely tuned into. So I think there's always going to be an initial like hesitancy or fear, like you said, but the most difficult step is often the first step. Once you take that second step and you see that you're okay, then you're pretty much you won. It's just now a matter of getting the reps in, um, getting in contact with whoever you need to get in contact with, establishing a system, and then it's all systems go. Like once you take that first step, that's often the catalyst to accomplishing amazing things.
absolutely, absolutely. What is your greatest strength? If you had to say what your greatest strength was, what would you say your greatest strength would be?
I think it's perseverance. I think
Mm,
that um, there's often times where things aren't going your way and you could easily throw in the towel, but I don't feel like
yeah,
quitting is in my vocabulary. I think I think that when you go through a storm or a trial, it's only preparing you for the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. So, um, and it may not, and the spiritual side, he may not come when you want him, but he'll be there right on time.
right on
So
time.
you just have to you just have to weather the storm until the sun comes out, till the sun shines. And I think that's what my strength is that perseverance.
When did you, at your point, at a point in your life, stop calculating risk and rewards and just say, "Okay, I'm gonna do it"?
Um, well, I take calculated risk. I
Mm,
still take calculated risk. Um, I'll say like one that stands out is when I left the UNC after almost 15 years, and you know, I started working for a tech company and producing their podcast. So working in academia, there's um, a comfort level to where you don't ever have to worry really about getting laid off or fired to going into the hotbed of tech where you're always walking around, you know, making sure no one's gonna stab you in the back or that money's coming in. Um, that way, they're not gonna just get rid of an entire team. So I think that was definitely a time when I took a calculated risk, but I felt like it was time. The work that I was putting in with Stop, Look, and Listen. I wanted to create in a B2B space as well. I felt like that made me a more well-rounded talent. Was the show that I can not only tell stories that I love. Yeah, Kara, how you doing? But not only telling stories that are meaningful to our community, but then also being able to create content that is um, you know beneficial to a corporation.
I'm trying to take it all in because I've had so many pop-ups in here. I'm listening to everything he's saying. Ladies and gentlemen, legendary supermodel Cara Young. This woman has graced the pages of Vogue magazine.
Wow.
I have seen her in Maybelline and CoverGirl ads, Victoria's Secret. She's done it all. So I had the pleasure of sitting down with her, and she's one of my very, very good friends. So
Okay.
thank you, Cara.
Uh,
Thank you so much,
salute.
Queen.
Salute
Yeah.
to you.
And this woman is brilliant, Troy. When I tell
Uh,
you, just listening to her story alone, and how she had to break barriers, being a woman of color in because I work in the fashion world and I know what it's like being black, being a woman, and being
Hmm.
told no, you're not what we're looking for, especially as far as the beauty standards. Just hearing her story alone, it was great. It was
Yeah.
great. So thank you, Cara. Thank you, Queen, for again coming on my platform and sharing your testimony. I can't thank you enough. And she's one of my good friends. She compared me to another supermodel, Linda Evangelista, because she say I always change my hair. And I do. I don't. Tomorrow I might be blonde. Who knows?
What
So
is what inspired the look today?
Meg the Stallion. I seen the Bongos video and I said, I love this big hair on her. So I said, I got to have big hair too. And Diana Ross. I love big hair. I love Diana Ross. I love Meg the Stallion. So I said, I wanted something big, something voluminous for the springtime.
Uh-huh.
It was only right.
Yeah, because
And
are you still in Bamberg? You still in
yeah,
Charleston? Yeah, so
still in Bamberg.
the weather's starting to warm up there, and the mosquitoes are going to be buzzing real soon.
Yes. And I'm not looking forward to that at all. I said, what do you like the most about South Carolina? And that is, I love the flowers, but I just do not like the bees, the insects, anything flying around. The flies, anything, mosquitoes, and they are huge. So,
Yeah, I'm outside of Miami right now, and like you see a little bit of everything: iguanas and rabbits and um, snakes, like right in my backyard.
and that's one of my biggest fears is snakes. I don't do snakes and frogs. And she said she wants to hear more about you,
Okay.
but can you watch my YouTube? I'll send you. Yes, Queen. Yes. Yes, yes. She wants to hear more about your story. And see, that's the importance of storytelling is that we are reaching the masses. So
Right.
many people, you never know who is watching. And speaking of never know who's watching, I saw on your channel where you said, okay, I want to find out who my biological family is. I want to
Mm.
trace this down. What was that process like for you?
Um. So I'll say at first, a lot of them they were tracking me down. So I was working at Winn-Dixie in Beaufort, and there were several occasions where a family member would come in and say, "Do you know who I am? I'm your cousin or I'm your grandmother." And I'm just like floored and just trying to take it all in because I've always had tunnel vision. I would always just try to focus on what's in front of me and not what's beside me or behind me, or just focus on things I have control over. And as I was continuing to meet my relatives, obviously there was one person that 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 impromptu meeting didn't happen. That was my biological father. So one cousin called me out of the blue one day. I was at UNC working, and she called me, and she's like, "I'm your cousin Carol." And I was like, "Who are you?" I've never spoken to you a day in my life. I usually don't answer my phone for unfamiliar numbers, but that day I did. And she was like, Do you want to talk to your dad? I have your dad's number." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm open to it. I just never really envisioned any of this would happen, but yeah, sure." So she's like, I'm gonna call him and see if it's okay for me to give you his number, and we'll just see what happens. So he was he was cool with that. We had a conversation. It felt like we were um, like two boxers in the first round where you're trying to feel each other out and um, figure out a strategy to attack. That's pretty much how that first conversation went. Um, we agreed to meet in Beaufort, I think 4th of July weekend that year. So it was like 2010. He didn't show up. So I didn't, like I said, I didn't have any expectations. So I wasn't mad. I was just like, okay, I mean, back to my normal life. It's no harm, no foul. Um, Father's Day of 2018, an aunt called. We were having a conversation, And she was like, "Did you call your dad?" And I was like, "No. I mean, I don't even have his number." And she did the same thing. She was like, "Well, here's his number. You should, reach out." So I tried to call him. It went to voicemail, but his mailbox was full. So I felt like, okay, that's another lost opportunity. A couple of weeks later, he calls me back. We had a strong conversation. I told him I think it's time for us to meet face to face. He's like, "I'm in Tampa. When you want to come, let me know, and we'll roll out the welcome mat for you." So I told my best friend, told Mario, and my fiance at the time, and my mom and adopted father, what was going on. They all made plans to accompany me to Tampa, Florida. So we went to Tampa, had an amazing time, met him, met two brothers and a sister, met a stepmom. Just had an amazing time. We would just look at each other, and people were like, "Yeah, y'all are twins." We were walking in a grocery store. I was behind him. Mario was behind me. He just started laughing, and I was just like, "What are you laughing at?" He's like, "Y'all walk exactly alike." So I didn't know what would come out of that encounter, whether we would stay in contact or have um, future me making future trips to Tampa. But I made it down there a few months later for his birthday. He came to North Carolina to visit me when I was living there, one Father's Day, and then they came to my wedding. And then last year I went to his retirement, and I met my, my three biological brothers for the first time. So it's almost like pieces to the puzzle that wasn't there, and you're just finding finding out new things every day. So it keeps life exciting. Um, I just, like I said, keep an open mind. I don't have expectations like you need to give me a Christmas present or you need to do this. It's just um, like skipping from A to K. So missing everything from B to J, and now we're just dealing with the relationship moving forward, and that's my approach to it.
And it's just like time hasn't been lost for you to reconnect with your father, and time hasn't been lost. All of the things you want to know more. They want to know more about you. What happened? Where, what can we do to rebuild our bond? And it feels so good because I've seen stories like this, and I'm pretty sure you've seen Tisha Campbell's story where she met with her sister, where she reconnected with her sister, and they showcased it on the reel. They did it on the reel, and they reconnected her with her sister. And her sister didn't know. All of these years she's been on Martin and television, you didn't even know that, okay, this is my sister here that I'm watching. So it's important that we go back and we trace our family ancestry and find out more about our family members, who we're connected to, who we're related to. And there's a show on PBS where celebrities are doing that. And it's like they didn't even know that. I think RuPaul didn't know that that he was related to somebody, and then Ciara did it the next day and didn't know that she was related to somebody. So it's important that we continue to trace our ancestry and find out our family members. With everything that is going on in the world, we have to make sure that we are surrounded by community. We have our village and our tribe behind us. And Carl Young says, bless. Hi, Marcus. Marcus Head, filmmaker. Please make sure you guys go and check him out. And there's my brother K Tukes, host of the K Tukes Spot. Make sure you guys please go and check out his platform. We've had so many faces pop up in here today because they're interested, they're engaged, they're wanting to know more about you
Right.
and your story. You
Yeah,
know,
I'll even say, Stevie, that I wrote a letter that I posted on Facebook back in like 2005, and it was like the one person I would like to interview is my biological father because I had questions of like why wasn't he there, but I also in that letter I shouted out all of the men that helped shape and mold a ball of clay into a masterpiece. But when I finally met my biological father, none of those questions came. It was just like soaking up the moment and enjoying each other's company. I still haven't asked them half those questions. It's just one of those things where you're just glad that that presence is there and that I can make a call and say like, hey, um, how do you build this, or what do you need to do with that? And or I'm experiencing these health problems. Like, can I trace it back to you? Just things like that. Like, there's no price for it. So, I'm not on social media probably the most um, open person. I'm private, but when you get me behind a microphone, I will open up and just talk about whatever. So that's kind of how I am.
And that's what it is. You're sharing your vulnerability with the world. You're sharing your testimony with the world, and it's impacting millions of people worldwide. You never know who's listening, because you'd be surprised at some of the DMs that I get from people, or people who just watch the replays on either one of our channels in general, and they will go back and say, well, I didn't know this about this person.
Mhm.
I've went through this too. Or they might know someone close to them who have encountered something similar that we have discussed in our conversation. So it's important that we keep spreading the word on to the masses. And that was going to be my next question for you. What are you most grateful for? Because we talk about cherishing memories, cherishing legacies. What are you most grateful for?
Um, I think I'm just grateful that I was blessed with the talent and the know-how to stay connected to where I come from, stay connected to those that instilled in me just tremendous values, and like not getting a big head, just continuing to feel like I have something to prove. And I feel like it shows in my work is that um, I'm always grateful for everyone's time, everyone's story, everyone's um, like on on social media, everyone's um, compliment. I just feel like I feel like that humility just goes. It takes you so far. Like, yeah, you can recognize that. Yeah, I'm talented, but you still have to stay grounded and know that it can be taken away from you in a matter of seconds. And I'm tremendously grateful for every single supporter that have listened to the show, that has watched an interview, that has joined us on pushplaypause.com, support the other shows, even the ones that I'm not directly involved in. Um, I'm just grateful to continue to um, share my talents and share the stories of all of these amazing guests every week.
And that you are. That you are. Shout outs to V Brown, actor, singer. Shout outs to you. Thank you. Again, more faces popping up. Thank you all so much. We love it. We are sitting here with LaTroy Gardner, Forecast Media, the good old boys, and Stop, Look, and Listen. Make sure you guys please go and check out and support all of his platforms. We are just here having an in-depth discussion on what are you being grateful for? And I want you all to sit back and think about it. We get so many things each and every day. And I'm going to go back to what you just said, which is never forgetting where I came from. A lot of people get in this business, the entertainment business, and they get such a big head. And it's just like at a certain point, you don't forget where you came from. Because my grandmother, who's 80 years old, she's still alive and living. She told me that, she said, you never forget where you came from. And she said, you put God first in everything that you do. Don't ever forget where you came from, because just as fast as you got it today, it can be taken from you tomorrow. And it's all about having a humble spirit. And that's to anybody who wants to get into this business, because this business will chew you up and spit you out. I started off right after high school.
Mm-hmm.
I started Style by Steve right after high school, and it wasn't originally called Style by Steve. It was called Weekdays Topics. And I didn't have a clue what I was doing. And Kate Tooks can vouch for me and tell you, yes, I'll be ready to curse somebody out. I'll be ready to fight in a heartbeat. But I'm just like, no, you got to take a different approach. You got to do something different. You got to come back a little bit you got to do something different. And it goes back to self accountability and
Hmm.
self preservation and being still and sitting in that present and sitting in that moment. So I had to do a lot of reevaluating and come back even stronger. So when I hit, I want to say season two, when I came back season two, it was a little bit stronger, it's a little bit different. The approach was different.
Right.
But when I first started off, I was cocky, arrogant, and we all are in some sort of way, in some aspect, but we have to put that in check. And it was because I was not able to receive constructive criticism. Now I'm at a point with me being 31 years old now. I'm
Hmm.
like, okay, now I can receive it. I can receive it. One point I remember couldn't even watching my interviews because I would go back and I would beat myself up so bad and critique myself. But now I'm just like, okay, you're in your 30s. When you hit 30, it's like a milestone. It's like a light bulb goes off and it's like a shift.
Yeah.
You see something different. And I see something different. So that was going to be my next question for you. What is one thing you'd like to change in the world? And just for the next generation that is following in both of our footsteps, to be exact.
Um, um, I hate the separation between the haves and the have-nots.
Mm,
One of the recent interviews, Jeff Fisher, he's working on a campus for homeless people, and
yeah.
like it's always it's like a tearjerker seeing like a homeless person because it's like um, it's like being in Miami and it's especially in the summertime, it's 100 plus degrees and they're standing out there just looking for any and everything. And it's like the humanity the humanity side. It's like, why can't we um have a shelter for this individual? Why is he standing on the side of the road with a shopping cart with his belongings and then having to sleep under, the underpass at night just to get a little shade? Like it's like I feel humanity is something that's lost, and that's where I would, start ground one, trying to fix, improve. I drive around, sometimes with um, like bottled water, just so I can hand them a bottled water, you know.
Yeah.
So that's something that I wish we just cared more for the next person, especially if they're not as well off as we are. And, just provide any little thing, whether it's your extra jacket or um, a loaf of bread, something. Like, people shouldn't have to struggle like that in America. So,
I'm so glad you mentioned that because literally that's something that runs through my mind as well too. Like think of it being cold and raining. Where are they gonna go at night? It is now a crime to be homeless. So where are these people going to go? And it's important that we help them as well too because tomorrow is not promised. Just as well as a person, you can see their face and remember their face, and their face is stuck in your head when you go home, or even when you go to sleep at night. That person, you're thinking about it. It's just like, what could I have done? And we always
mhm.
have to take that into consideration. The world would be such a beautiful place. Yes, yes, it would be. But we're going to find it. I know the dark, I know a lot of people are concerned. We're going through this dark period, what I like to call a dark period, or a awakening for some parts of America, where people are actually starting to see that we were better off before, not now under this administration, as LaTroy said in the beginning of the show. I'm trying not to get political. I'm,
Yeah,
I'm trying to behave. I'm
yeah. I,
restrained because I could take
I'm,
off
I'm
the
with you.
seatbelt and go crazy
I'm
on
with you.
this orange. Let me stop. See? But yes.
Yeah, and to even like quickly like you're hearing stories of how kids they're afraid to go to school because if they go to school they feel like ICE will come and snatch them up and take them home and then take their parents. and, send them back to Mexico or, DR, El Salvador, wherever they came from. And, that's just sad within itself is that, kids can't even enjoy their innocent, innocent lives of going to school, making friends, playing out at the playground, and, you know, just learning and developing into human beings that, made this country what it is today.
I, I believe that humanity is what's missing right now in this state is grace, is extending grace to others. We know that this administration doesn't have that. And a lot of people in this world, unfortunately, think the way they do, where they don't want to extend grace to other people. But I ask you to put yourself in that person's shoes for a couple minutes, just a couple minutes, and think, how would this person feel if I'm being outcasted because of the color of my skin? If I'm being outcasted because I don't speak English very well, or I'm not fluent in English enough, or I'm not from this country, how would it feel if somebody did the same thing to you, but they don't want to do that? So I think this could be the wake up call. This dark shift that we're seeing, where it's a rollback on everything, DEI and this and that and third, they realize at the end of the day that it will affect you too. It
Hmm.
will affect you too. The people who you wanted to hurt the most, because it's an expression, and we've all heard it before, where hurt people hurt people. But
Right.
what's got you so hurt? What's making you want to hurt other people and cause them pain and cause them suffering? You have to sit and look in that. Sit in that. And whatever it is, stand up and stand in it. Own it. Because
Well said.
not everybody's going to have the same experience as you. It's like you said, LaTroy, with the haves and the have-nots. Put yourself in that person's positions. Yes, we have all wanted to be rich. We've all wanted to have money. We all wanted to do all of this, that, and the third. But for those who believe that this, let me behave. I'm trying. I'm trying so hard, V Brown. You know I listen, but I want the ones who voted for this person. I want you all to put yourself in the people who were oppressed and experiencing the oppression. Put yourself in our shoes for a minute and see how it feels. And now you're starting to feel what we feel. And that is having your rights taken away from you as well too. It's not just the people who you wanted to hurt, but it's also you as well too in the end result. So I believe what's missing from the world right now is compassion, is empathy. But we know that we're not going to get it from this administration. All we got is each other. So we have to form compassion and empathy within each other. Sit down and be willing to have those hard hitting conversations with people. Call a
Yep.
family member, call a friend, reconnect, fix those bonds, because we need community more than ever. This man just said yesterday that he's thinking about deporting us, American citizens, here on American soil, to where El Salvador. So that's what I want you all to do. Form community. It's terrifying times that we're living in. So I believe that compassion and empathy goes a long way. That when we have empathy for the next person's situation, that means if you see a person being down, ask them, what can I do to make you feel good? What can I do? Can
Right.
I get you a cup of coffee? Can can I get you something to drink, something to eat, whatever you need?
Yep.
It's important that we form community more than ever.
Pay it
Faith
forward.
in humanity restored. And we hear these stories about people going and doing something nice for the next person, like what we call it, paying it forward. Someone, the first person in line at the drive-through or whatever, you pay for their order. At the grocery store, you pay for their groceries. So these are the little things that can help people a long way. It's called paying it forward. And it doesn't have to be monetarily. Just sitting down and having a conversation with someone. That's why I reached out to LaTroy here, because I pick up on energies. I don't know what it is. I pick up on energies and vibes, and I'm just like, okay, he seems pretty cool. And I've just kept watching his content, and I said, this is somebody I would like to collab with and do an interview with and have a conversation with, because we are both black. We are both in South Carolina. He's a black man, I'm a black woman, and we're in the red state of South Carolina, and we know how racist it is down here. And it's important that we continue to share our stories with people who look like us, black and brown. So I
Hmm.
said, let me go on ahead and step outside of my comfort zone, because my comfort zone is my circle. I said I'm willing to open and expand the circle now. Being black, we got to expand that circle. Be willing to sit with new faces. And for me, it is not a thing that happened at work today. Miss T Ford, it did. That's what I'm saying. Pay it forward. And we all have to do that. So if you see somebody, at the drive through or something, just offer that, what can I do to help you? Or pay it forward. They drive up and they say, the person in the next car took care of your order. That's what we got to do. And it doesn't,
Yep.
again, have to be monetarily, but it can be done in a way where just writing the person a letter, writing the person a thank you note. Do it the old fashioned way.
Hmm.
Goes a long way. So this administration is not going to do it, but we have to do that for each other within our community, the black community. So yeah.
Right. Like even when he was elected the first time, like a lot of my friends, they were just, you know, scared as far as what the future holds. And I just kept the mentality of take care of yourself first, take care of your family, extend out to your community. Like you just have to, you know, like you said, expand your circle gradually. Like you can't have that mentality that what happens in Washington is going to dictate whether I rise. I'm going to rise regardless. I'm going to conquer whatever adversity is placed in front of me, no matter what. It may not it may not happen immediately, but I'm going to figure out a way to come out victorious. So we just have
All
to
right.
we have to keep the faith. We got to keep the faith, and um, we'll weather the storm. There's no doubt in my mind.
Absolutely. To anybody who's feeling despair, who's feeling sadness, who's feeling hopelessness, don't cower in fear. That orange demon in the White House doesn't put no fear in me. He's fearful of powerful women, and I'm a powerful black woman. So he's fearful of powerful women.
Mhm.
But
And you got a message. You got a message, and like I said, you're doing an amazing job. Conversation is kind of what I needed today because it hasn't been the best day for me. So thank you,
and I hope it
Steve.
helped. I hope it brings some sunshine in your light. And I want to do that to each and every one of you. Keep bringing that joy. We have to keep, as black people, we have been through so much. We have to find our joy, y'all. But we also gonna keep them heads on swivel. We're gonna be vigilant and watch everything that goes on around us. But we are still going to find our joy. Don't let this man stop each and every one of us from smiling and finding our joy. And as T4 just said it best in the comments, which is what I said, pay it forward. Customer B paid for customer A's haircut. See, that's what we got to do. Look out for each other in the black community. And it's more than just, we can do cookouts. We can do all of these things that we used to do back in the day, and especially during the summer months. All of these things that we as black people love. Forming community, bridging that gap, having the difficult, hard hitting conversations. We have to form community more than ever, and it's important that you step outside of your comfort zone. And that's something that I placed on my vision board, which is stepping out. Okay, I've done it before, stepping out and meeting new people who also do the same exact thing that I do, but also getting a different perspective on it as well too, and being critical on what you can do to better yourself. So it's always not LaTroy, but myself. It's so hard these days, been so uninspired and worried. What's next? Well, I can tell you this for sure, and I'm just going to be blunt and real for each and every one of us. What we are under right now is not normal. Our world has been completely turned upside down. No, this is not a public test. What is it? They say a test of the emergency broadcast system. No,
Right.
your world has been turned upside down. This is fascism, baby. This is what it is. And we are living under it. But the thing is, how do we come back to some normalcy? We resist, we find our joy. And LaTroy has had people on his platform that have educated and brought awareness. Go and check out his platform. Again, Stop, Look, and Listen. The Good Old Boys. Forecast Media. We need to be supporting black media, not just Miss Stevie, Style by Stevie, but my girl T.S. Madison, Roland Martin. Y'all need to be going and checking out Joy Ann Reed and Jackie Reed. Benjamin Dixon. It's so many black platforms. Don Lemon. Politics by Tabitha. I could go down a list of black platforms. They've given us black entertainment television. BET has been around for years. I mean, for decades. Since what? 1988, right? So,
1980.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we
Hmm.
have to go, and someone put the idea out there. Why not give black journalists a platform where they can talk freely? We got Fox News. And yeah, we see what goes on Fox News. We got CNN. We got MSNBC. But what about the representation of us? We can't forget about the man who invented the Afro-American newspapers, and they would discuss everything that was going on from World War I to World War II. So it's important that we continue to pour into black media and support black news outlets, independent news outlets, and invest. And that was something that LaTroy sat down with someone on his platform and said, which is, hey, this is what happened here, and learning the history of our culture and lineage. I say from now more than ever, we need to be going and checking out those African American museums. Because when I seen that this, okay, y'all, I'm trying to behave. Kamala had to restrain herself during the debate. She said this former president, and that's what I'm trying to do here because I don't want to get too political. But when I seen that he attacked the African American Museum of Arts, like, do y'all know how much our people have contributed to this country and how much we have poured into blood, sweat, and tears? And now, especially in black media, as content creators, as platform hosts, it's important that we continue to pour into each other. So that's why I tapped LaTroy. And it's going to be, I have another special guest that is coming on next week on the show. And I'm pretty sure you guys know him. I'm going to just let the cat out the bag. Joining me next week, we have Conscious TV. Conscious TV will be joining me next week. And
Hello.
Conscious is known all over YouTube. I've had Conscious on before, so I'm always collabing. And this is something that we've been planned on doing. The same for me and LaTroy. We had it hidden under the works. And you guys didn't see it till I dropped the lineup Friday. So I'm saying this with everybody. Tap into other black content creators as well too. Hear their stories, hear their testimonies. Because something that they're saying could resonate with you as well too. And that was going to be another question that I wanted to ask you, LaTroy. How important is it that we as black creators all come together, especially under everything that is going on?
I mean, it's imperative because you mentioned some of the names like a Don Lemon and a Joy Reid. They were
Oh
pretty
yeah,
much exiled from the networks that they were a part of. So, in order for us to control our messaging and the stories that we put out, we have to own, our own networks independently, and um, like we all have our wheelhouses. Like one person could be like fashion, another person could be um, education, one person could be sports, but we have to make sure that the way that we deliver this content is in a way that is respectful of those that we're covering, but also making sure that we bring that authenticity that is lacking from everywhere else. So, um, like you, I'm a cheerleader. I support. I provide a platform, and I I look to collaborate. I'm having conversations now that could potentially um, birth other shows and content creators. So I think we just have to keep pushing and strategizing, like we did with Harriet Tubman back in the day. If we have to go to some secret house and strategize, then let's do that.
absolutely. And one other, the Native Land Pod, Angela Rye, Andrew Gillum, Tiffany D. Cross. We need to be supporting these black news outlets. We need to. More than ever, because the goal is to try to make the news. When I've seen that Joy Reid was let go from MSNBC, I said, I know exactly what this administration is doing. They're trying to make it look like the average blue-eyed blonde hair, and it's just like that's not the case. What about these qualified black journalists who were there to tell the truth and the stories? But because you don't like the truth that they're putting out, we're going to go on ahead and just let them go from the station altogether. And her ratings were through the roof. So that speaks volumes that people were listening to Joy Reid and her message. And it goes back to what LaTroy just said, which is the message. My messaging might be different on my platform. uh, Roland Martin's message might be different on his, but at the same day, we all get the job done effectively, and that is to make sure that our people, black people, are aware to what is going on. And I do it in a way where it's so revolutionary because when people see Style by Stevie, the first thing they think, fashion, clothes. What we talking about clothes and fashion for? I mean, it's more than just that. It's more than just that. It's the culture. It's pop culture. It's the news. It's what's going on in the world. I do all of that, but people see Style by Stevie, and the first thing they do is they place me in that box of fashion. And yes,
Hmm.
I love fashion. I love to look good. I always come on every day, new outfit and everything. But I also want people to not just take away from my message. I want people to be aware and listen to the message as well too. And I do it in a way where you're engaged in the conversation, where you too are responding and answering questions and joining in on the games and everything.
Hmm.
That's what I want. So everybody's messaging might be different, but we do it in a way where it gets to you. And that's the point. The message should get to our people, black people. And like LaTroy said, if we had to do it like Harriet Tubman did, that's another thing. They tried to erase her lineage and heritage as well, too. The same for Jackie Robinson. So we will continue to celebrate the blacks who have made great contributions to this country. You can't erase us. We will not be erased. And Jamie Foxx said this a few, I want to say a few months ago. He said this on one of the Rare Carpets premiere. The more they try to erase our history, the more we will go back and create more. And I said,
Hmm.
we go and we create more. We go and we create more and continue to create more. Harvard University said, I'm not bending the knee.
Right.
So good job, Harvard.
So, Stevie, quick question. Uh,
Yes.
how do you know when you've had an amazing interview?
The guests will sometimes message me back and say, "Thank you so much. You made me feel uncomfortable," because they come on like I didn't know how LaTroy was going to receive me. I said, "Okay, he can hit me. He can think all these things about me. I don't know what's going to happen. Please let it run smooth." Um, my guests always message me at the end of an interview, and they'll say, "Thank you so much for making me feel comfortable." And that's what I do. I want you to feel like you're sitting down with your girlfriend. Girlfriend is in
Mhm.
friend, like how we say I want to go out with the girlfriends or whatever, or sitting down with your sister or sitting down with your auntie. That's the type of feel that I want people to have, is relatable to some sort of way. And we have to put ourselves in those family positions, like, okay, she reminds me of an aunt, she reminds me of a mom, she reminds me of anybody in my family, any woman in my family. So that's what I want people to feel. I want you to feel comfortable. And the same for your platform. What I love about your platform is that you provide a safe space. And I reassure that to people when they come on my platform is that you're in good hands. I got you. It's just me and you. But I'm also going to let you know that you're in the driving seat. We're going to rotate that driving seat. Yes, I'm the head pilot, but you're the pilot because you're coming on my platform to tell your story. So, whatever direction you want to steer this spaceship into, I'm going to be in that passenger seat. And then when it's time for us to rotate and I ask you the questions, you let me sit the seat and then you go back to the pilot seat. So I reassure my guests whenever they come on that you are allowed to tell your story and everybody should share their story. And we shouldn't dictate that. We are the platform hosts in providing a safe space for people to tell whatever they want people to know. Because your story can not only, speaking of stories, there goes my colleagues. Look at that sexy, I can't say it, leprechaun, Bubs the God fashion dolls. My colleague, please, I will be joining him tonight at 8 p.m. on his panel. Please go and head on over and subscribe. And we have these hard-hitting conversations. That was something that Buzz was also saying as well, too. So we had a lot of people from the YouTube verse pop up in our interview. LaTroy, what is in the water?
Okay.
But yes, white why do people come back for more and more interviews with me, or what do people say at the end of them? They message me and they say thank you for
Hmm.
providing a safe space for me, for allowing me to tell my story, and for making me feel comfortable, because I've done interviews too, and it's nerve wracking. You don't, just like you said, when you couldn't do the interview by yourself, you had to have someone there supporting you. For me, I just pray. I pray before any interview that everything runs smoothly. And not only that, but I create those bonds with my guests
Right.
that they come back frequently over and over again, and they say, I want to interview with you again. I want to interview with you again. I feel comfortable interviewing with this person. And it's
Do you
one
feel like
person. Go
you
ahead, I'm sorry. Yes,
yeah,
you
do
get
you
to ask
feel
questions to me now. Go ahead.
yeah, do you feel interviewing the second time is more difficult than the first time, or you
It's like a
or not?
walk in the park for
Okay.
me.
Okay.
It's one actor in particular who is killing the film game right now, Nelson Davis, and we have a bond. He's came on the platform several times, back to back to back, and he will be coming back again later in this year. So I mean, those are the type of bonds that you want with people. Like I said, with Cara, my brother K Toops, I went on his platform. Bubs has actually been on my show,
Shouts to
and
Bob.
we have met. So a lot of people in the YouTube verse. Like I said, next week we have Conscious TV coming on. So me and Conscious did an interview the first time back in 2021, I want to say. But I lost my old page. I had so many interviews and everything. I was devastated. But my brother K Toops helped me retrieve all of my interviews. So
Hmm.
I can't stop thanking my brother K Toops for that. But I think the second time should be a little bit easier than the first. The first is like first impression of the person, the host. What do you think? It's either going to be a hit or miss. And 9 times out of 10, I've had interviews where I was like, okay, I wasn't really feeling the vibe on that one, but this one right here I can get with. And the guest will message me and say, thank you for making me feel comfortable. Thank you for reassuring me that it's going to be okay and that I can tell my truth and I can share my story. Because that's what you want your guests to know, is that they're in a safe space. You don't want to come on and do what I can't even say her name. Do what she's doing and ask the questions that are just like you're digging for something that's not there. Make
Right.
it about the guest. Make it intimate. Make it personable.
Hmm.
And put yourself also in that position and say, hey, I've been through this, or I know someone who's encountered this. And that's why I think a lot of people keep coming back to my platform where they're just engaged like a child watching their idol for the first time. Like that's why they're so engaged, is because I bring something different just to the table. And each and every one of us on our platform, we bring something different. Like, I'm not going to be like LaTroy. LaTroy's not going to be like Conscious. Conscious is not going to be like Bubs. Roland Martin is not going to be like Joy Reid. Everybody has their own personality. And in this business, it's important that I remember Jackie Harris said this when someone asked her about Sister Sister and how she could spot the difference between Tia and Tamara. She says one girl has their own personality. And I know your name, you keep your personality, so you know your name, and I know your name. That's what sets all of us as content creators differently from each other, is that we have our own personality. And one thing I want to do is bring joy to everything that is going on in the world. Like Politics by Tabitha, you will get a kick out of her. She will have you rolling. She will have you in stitches. And she is petty. Certain things she could do, I couldn't get away with, because I'm just like, girl. But find your personality, find your identity. And that's what will draw people to come back more and more with you. Like I just seen something flash across the screen like, hey, I want to come back on the show. Um, Setting up for another interview already. So it's blessings upon blessings. And I think this interview is one that we hit out of. Well, it's not even really an interview. It's more so like a conversation, because I feel like I'm chatting with an old friend.
Yeah.
So
And
make it
and
personal.
that's definitely my style. It's a conversation. Sometimes, especially when I have artists on that are clearly on the media run, those are more of an interview, but I still blend my style into it. But yeah,
Yes,
this is the way I prefer. I prefer conversations and allow it to be entertaining, informative, and get the job done of promoting each other.
absolutely. Absolutely. And my colleague Bubs the God is a master of doing that. See, what Bubs does is if you like comedy, if you like Politics by Tabitha, you'll love him. He adds humor to it. And I called him our sexy leprechaun for a reason because he's 5'2", I'm 5'7". So
Hmm.
it's important that we thrive off of each other's energy when you're sitting and you're having a conversation with someone. So, like I said, this wouldn't even be really considered an interview. This is more so like a conversation with a friend. You're sitting down with your friends. And that's what I want when you're watching my platform. I want you to feel like you're sitting down in my house. I'm inviting you in. Come on in, pour yourself a glass of wine, champagne, tea, coffee, whatever you like, and just relax and have good conversation. That's what it should be. And us as Black people, we have to have these healthy conversations. And more importantly, pull out that rug for somebody. We talk about rolling out the red carpet. Come on in, sit down with me. Let me share my story with you. And that's what I want to do with people, because there are some people who are unfamiliar with me. Because I know LaTroy reached out, when I reached out to him, he was like, okay, who are you? And what are you doing again? What's the name of your platform? um, but we had a conversation and we got to know each other. And that's how it should be in this business, in this industry, as creators, as anybody who's hosting a platform. Make the story personable to you. Put yourself in that person's shoes and say, wow, this happened to me. And it actually happened to you. Share your story, because when you share your story, other people will feel comfortable sharing their stories. I've done interviews where people have literally, or conversations where I've sat with people and the audience will say, I've been through this. I've encountered this at work. And they're typically 9 times out of 10 watching on their work phones. And I tell them, don't get in trouble. Don't get in trouble at work now watching me. Or they'll catch the replay and they'll add their 2 cents. But again, it's personal for them because they too have experienced it. And my mother has always told me this because she never really wanted to be in the public eye, do media, entertainment, none of that. She didn't want none of that. She wanted me and because I have 4 brothers, 2 sisters. She wanted each and every one of us to do our own thing, but also have a backup plan. She said, you want
Hmm.
to do what now? Come again? Because our parents said, you want to get into the entertainment business. You want to do what now? So you make sure you have a backup plan. But she said, you're so good at what you do. God has put a gift on you, and each and every one of us have a gift and our purpose. And before I turn it over to LaTroy and let LaTroy ask me some questions, because yeah, I'm about to get put in the hot seat for those of you who want to know more about my story. So I'm gonna let LaTroy ask some questions. But my mother always told me, you have a gift. You have a calling, and each and every one of us have a calling and a purpose. Don't let anybody take your purpose from you. And our purpose is to speak truth to power. And what's going on with him wanting to attack CBS and ABC because they're speaking truth to power? He doesn't like it. We as Black people have now formed unity, and we're speaking truth to power. We know what it is. You want to erase us. You want to erase our existence and our contributions. So we are pushing back and saying, no, you're not going to erase our history, our truth when we built this country. And through Black journalism, because Black journalism is powerful, being led by Al Sharpton, being led by Roland Martin, being led by Angela Rye, Andrew Gillum, and so many others, and LaTroy Gardner here. And it, I could go on and on. I'd be listing them all off day by day. But it's important that Black journalists, we continue to use our voices and our platforms and amplify it. And yes, it's going to be people that are going to say, oh, you shouldn't talk about this. Don't talk about Stephen A. Smith. Don't talk about the Orange Man. I'm not taking I'm not taking my size 11 stiletto off of the Orange Man's neck if it's the last thing I do on the face of this earth.
No, you shouldn't. I think it's important to use your platform to obviously not abuse it, but inform, because a lot of people are misinformed on social media. So, like, your platform is needed to um, get people out of the darkness. So, yeah, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to speak the truth to
To
existence.
power.
Mm.
To any one of us, don't be afraid. I know it's scary for all of us being Black journalists, Black platform hosts. It's scary for all of us. But our voices are needed more than ever. Then when they try to silence us, because they did that during slavery, they didn't want us to learn how to read, they didn't want us to learn how to write. And now that we're educated, we're in these positions that Pete Hegseth should not being. He's not qualified to do anything but take his next shot of vodka. But that's a whole nother conversation for another day. But these positions that they're in, we are in, and that intimidates them. So I would tell anybody, black platform and all, use your voice. Never let anybody take your voice. And without further ado, I wanted you guys to walk away feeling empowered. So I'm going to pass it on to LaTroy here. LaTroy is going to ask me some questions in a segment I like to call Turn the Tables. All right?
Okay,
So
that's great.
take it away, LaTroy.
When did you find your voice?
I was picked on a lot through high school, believe it or not. And I started to speak out. And the bullies just sort of backed down. I remember this one instance, we were in the football. It was a football player. And this is in the lunchroom. Me and my best friend, we were sitting there. We were just talking. And this football player, I noticed him just sitting over there snickering and grinning because I was sort of developing and coming into myself as into my own. So I stood up and I got from that table and I went and I stood up to him. And keep in mind, I'm little 5'7". This football player is like 6 foot something. And he's in his senior year. I stood up to him and I said, but I kind of had to look over my shoulder to make sure he wasn't coming after me. So it's being picked on a lot has made me find my voice. Being bullied has made me find my voice.
Okay,
And that's then I said I want to stand up for others. I want to stand up and say the things that people are thinking. So through that, yeah,
okay. What do you see when you look in the mirror?
I see a powerful, intelligent black woman who is speaking truth to power, who is kind, who is generous. I would give you the dress off of my body if anybody needed it. I would give you the shirt off my back if you needed it. I would be the type of person to say, hey, are you okay? We got to look out for each other. Empathy is needed in this world, as I said earlier. That's the person that I see when I look in the mirror. When I look in the mirror, I see that I've had a lot of flaws. I have a lot of flaws. We all are flawed in some sort of way, but you know what? That makes us divinely unique and in His likeness, in His image. That may it be the creator or the inner being, whatever you believe in. So that's what I see when I look in the mirror. I see beauty. I see intelligence. I see fearlessness, courageousness, strength. I see dignity because we all have to have it in some point of our life. Fearlessness, we can't let what the devil is putting out here to try to distract us and make us fearful or scared. Be vigilant and be aware, yes, but fear not. That's something that's in the Bible. Fear not, because He is the Alpha and Omega. But when I look in the mirror, those are the things that I see.
Okay. You mentioned that before Style by Stevie, you had a different format for the show. Just uh, for all of the listeners, all of the aspiring content creators, just just talk about being able to pivot, the art of pivoting, and realizing something isn't working, and um, just tinkering and figuring out the process and striving for improvement.
Wow. I think it's important that we, as creators, as everyday people, go back and take a minute and look back in your past, your photos. Photos can tell a lot of stories. Go back and look at something. So I would go back from then to now, and I would look back at some of my past interviews and be like, wow, this could have been done differently. And that's called the art of being able to accept constructive criticism. So I had to get from that point of not being able to receive it to now being able to receive it. And that was from people advising me and guiding me along the way. It's important that you have a village of people who uplift you and who support you and encourage you along the way. And I must say that I'm thankful for the likes of yourself, LaTroy, Bubs, uh, K-Tubes, and so many others who have encouraged and kept me grounded. So how I got to this point was I had to go back to my past, reevaluate, and we all have to go back in our past and sometimes look at our photos, look at our memories, look at these things and think, what was I thinking on this time? I do a lot of writing. I have a lot of gratitude journals. I have a lot of diaries as well too. And I would go back and I would read my entries and I'd be like, okay, what was I thinking on this day? Like, girl, you could have did this better. What could you have done? So in order for you to get to this point where I'm at right now is, and I'm gonna put it like this, you have to be able to go through the ugly to get to the beautiful. And it's a scary process to anybody who wants to build up a platform. You got to start somewhere. I remember having to call my guests on Messenger on Facebook and having a little tablet sitting right here beside me. And like I'm on the View or something, like I got myself a panel chair, one of those panel chairs like they have on the View. And I'm sitting beside the tablet on the tripod and the guest is in the Messenger call. That was how I had to do it. Now the power and the beauty of Instagram and being able to filter and do all of these things. Because at the time, we didn't really have IG Live. It was Instagram. You could post your photos and stuff, yes, but then IG Live came along and people could go live on there. So I said, let me start doing that. Fast forward, here we are now. And I don't have to worry about holding the phone up on the tripod and having to look at the guests like I'm sitting next to them on the View or something. So, I mean, it was funny. It was funny. I would go back and watch it like, girl, you have come a long way, ma'am. And that I have. I have. 100% manifesting greatness while learning from enjoying the journey. Yes, and for me, this journey is fun. I wouldn't trade it for the world. I've had my ups and downs. I didn't think I was going to make it. There are days when I don't even want to get up and host the platform, but I'm just like, you can't let the people who are rooting for you down. Because
Right.
y'all heard Tyra Banks say it on America's Next Top Model. We're rooting for you. We're rooting for you. Yes, the fashion dolls and my viewers, they're rooting for me. They want me to do well, and I want them to do well. And again, they need somebody who is going to bring them joy, who's going to shift and give them an escape where it's not always darkness and despair. Because, like I said, watching the news can be depressing, it can be boring. People want joy, they want happiness. Make it fun and make it entertaining.
Hmm.
And as my colleague Burbs the God would say, edutaining, where you're getting educated and you're getting entertained and you're engaged. Because if you're sitting up here and you're talking about critical race theory and things, make it entertaining. Make it entertaining and also make it informative. And that's what I do. I do it in a way where it's hip, where it's just like, okay, we get what she's saying, or we get what LaTroy or Bubs or anybody else is saying. We do it in our own way. And that's what's so unique about each and every one of us is that we have our own hip way of getting it to the masses. Again, it goes back to what Bubs just said, enjoying the journey. So my advice to anybody on a platform is having fun. Start off somewhere. How I had to come from holding that tripod on that tripod stand to making sure that it stood up and sitting next to it to now being able to do it without having to hold it. And learning the arts of perfect lighting, learning the arts, because my God, I would go back and I would look at some of the hair in those interviews and I can tell you what I was thinking. And I'd be like, what the hell was I thinking when I wore that? But we've come a long way from that. Consulting with the professionals, the glam, beauty individuals, of making sure that we put together. Those are things that I've had to learn along the way. And I must say that I'm thankful that I did.
Cool. What's the next iteration? Where do you see um, Stevie and the content you're creating as far as the apex?
Oh my God. I look at Drew Barrymore. I watch her show. And you go in the stores and you see her merch. I want that. I mean, Oprah has it. Oprah had her talk show. She had a magazine. She had everything. But I would love to do that. But I would love to expand outside of just having a magazine, outside of just having my merch on stores. I would like to own stores, black owned, and employ black employers. Because I mean, Madam C.J. Walker, when she invented, because I mean, she had a beauty school and all. That's what I want. I want something in my legacy. And we talk a lot about leaving our legacy. So that is something that I want in the apex for me, that I'm manifesting in the horizon, is that my name is on cosmetics in Ulta and Sephora. I mean, I look at Rihanna. Rihanna has Fenty. That's a multi-million dollar empire. Like she has everything from hair products to makeup to fashion. That's where I would like to expand. Now Beyonce launched in Ulta. B, you ain't had to hit us like that, girl. You ain't had to hit us like that, girl, but she did. She did a global launch. That was one of the biggest launches in Ulta history for her hair product line, Sacred. That's what I would like to do outside of hosting this platform. I would like to have my own network. You have your brand as well, LaTroy. Again, make sure you guys are going and checking out the good old boys. And I'll keep reiterating it throughout the show because we need to be supporting Black media. But that's something that I want outside of this platform. I would like to have my name on hair products, fragrance, makeup, uh, fashion, magazine, home decor, all of that. So building and manifesting, but I would also employ everybody Black. I'm gonna say that loud and clear because half of these brands
Black.
that we use are not Black owned. And China just exposed that. Thank you, China, for exposing all of these luxury houses that everybody thinks that they look so good in. They got to have it, and you're spending tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars on them. China exposed that. Mhm. So, what y'all got to say now about y'all Gucci?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, the orange man strikes again.
Hmm. But China said, hey, if you want to play this game with us, we're going to play right here. We want to checkmate. We got you. Hmm.
Yeah,
So they exposing it. They exposed it, and I'm glad they did.
it's
So now
just
we
impacting.
know.
It's
Go
just,
ahead. I'm sorry.
it's just impacting us in so many different ways. I was watching the news and they said the cost of wedding dresses skyrocket. Of course, food, um, car parts, how houses, like everything's impacted as a result. Um, but what's something about you that people would find most surprising?
I'm a goofball behind the scenes. I like K Tooks will tell you I'm always, and me and K Tooks do it. And sometimes Bubs, I will recite the lines to Jackie's back, Jennifer Lewis. I will break out an impersonation and I'll start impersonating Jennifer Lewis behind the scenes. That's something that people don't know. Is that I'm very humorous and I believe that we should have fun, live, laugh. Even when my mom is down, I would do things to try to make her laugh because she's a Libra, I'm a Scorpio. And I feel like we are yin and yang. I understand her. Our mothers get us the most. So she will know when something's off about me. Mothers know everything. You can't hide it from her. So when I'm down, she'd be like, "Tell me the truth," and she'll give you that look. When your mother looks at you like this, like, mm-hmm, I know what you up to. I see you. That was the same look my brother got when she tried to get him. He said something slick to her, and I remember that when we were younger. We were coming home from school, and he gave her that look, and she gave him a look. She said, In the Black household, when your mother tells you, "Hey, uh, I'ma tell your father. I'ma tell your father. I'm not gonna chase you because he ran all the way past me to the mailbox." And when my dad got home, because my dad was a truck driver and he served in the Marines too, he put the fear of God in us. So, but when she said, "I'm gonna tell your daddy, I'm not gonna chase you. I'm gonna wait till your father gets home."
Mhm.
And he got home late, so yeah. I'd hear about it the next day. I'd be sleeping peacefully, and I'd hear about it the next day. Laughter is the best medicine, and that's one thing people don't know about me. Behind the scenes, yes, I'm all serious and all of this here on Style by Stevie when doing my interviews, but I like to have a good time too. It's never a dull moment with me. I'm gonna keep you on your toes. I'm gonna keep you energized throughout the day. Even when you sleep, I'm gonna come and I'm gonna tap you, and I'm still gonna make a joke. So, yeah.
What's your go-to song right now?
My go-to song, and I'm pretty sure everybody has heard it. It will be "Anxiety" by Doechii. I think Doechii is so talented, and I think that she brings something innovative to us as Black people. Again, you can go back in time to Josephine Baker, Dorothy Dandridge. Um, I think they would be proud if they seen Doechii because she's laying out a pathway for other female artists as well too. So many others, so many others. So I would have to say Doechii. It's playing everywhere.
Right.
Anxiety is playing everywhere. So I'd have to say Anxiety by Doechii.
Yeah. Um, you said you have six siblings.
Hmm.
How would they describe you?
The wild card, because you don't know what you're going to get out of me. I was a little rebellious in my childhood. But again, who hasn't been? My brother, who went into the military as well, he served in the military, is a little rebellious as well too. But now he has his own family, and he has a 1 year old. So I have a 1 year old nephew. I have no, three nephews, and I have one niece. So each and every one of us has our own personality. But I would have to say, out of all of my siblings, I would be the most courageous, the most fearless, and the most outspoken.
Hmm.
And I think I piggyback off of my brother because he's outspoken too, and he will let you know he's like a military sergeant. The time he served in the military, Latroy, you can't have a drop of water around the sink. He wipes it up. The trash in the trash can, he straightens up the trash in the trash can. That's how organized he is. OCD, and it's rubbed off on me. So I think me and my brother, we sort of bounce off of each other's personalities,
Right.
where everything has to be in order. But out of all of my siblings, they would probably describe me as the wild card.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm also a military baby. My dad spent 21 years in the Marine Corps, and then being from Beaufort, you have Paris Island, so
Yeah,
um, I'm used to all of that structure and discipline. I think it it served us well, with
yeah.
what we're doing now, just having that discipline and making sure that we stick to what we need to get done. We're accountable, reliable, and I think it's tied to that upbringing. Of my dad getting up at 4:35 in the morning
Yes.
to make it out there at 6 o'clock, stuff like that.
That
Mhm.
dedication, that dedication goes into all of us. And that's one thing that my father instilled into myself and my brothers and my sister as well, was that we all had to make sure that we were prompt, we were on time, that things were done in order and in orderly. And he would make sure that he would teach us certain things, tell us to do it like this, you do it like this. And now each and every one of us is successful in our own right. My brother is a family man now. I would have never thought, but our parents have always had the conversations with us like, until it happens to you. Now, I don't have kids. I don't have kids. I have a fur baby. She is 5 years old. She is a toy poodle, and she is a diva. She eats when she wants to eat, and she lays down when she wants to lay down. So that's my child. But now seeing my brother in this light as a parent, it showcases to me a whole nother side I would have never expected him to see, because I remember one point changing his pampers.
Right.
So yeah.
All right. Last question. I produced a recent season of the Black Fashion History podcast, and the question we would ask all of the guests is, um, red carpet event, paparazzi everywhere. Who is styling Stevie? What are you wearing?
I would have to say La Roche. La Roche, whose work was Zendaya and Celine Dion. La Roche would be at the top of who would style me. Oh my God. Like, and it would have to be vintage Terry Mugler. I love Terry Mugler. Terry Mugler is one of my favorite fashion designers. And going back and watching some of his shows back in the day, in the 80s, in the late 80s, from Iman to Naomi Campbell, that's like the birth of their fashion careers. They've been doing it since the 70s, yes, but this took them to a whole nother level. He knew how to make women feel like goddesses walking out on the runway, and that's why they would walk out with just their own attitude and personality. And then to see Cardi B and the likes of Kim Kardashian go and purchase these, and Zendaya as well, go back in the archives and go and wear these designs out at red carpet events. It would have to be La Roche because he digs into the archives. I don't like to be, current. I like to be
Mhm.
vintage. I like to go back in time, but also add my own spin of modern on to fashion as well too. So set your own trends, and that is one thing I would say about La Roche. Is La Roche doesn't put himself in a box, and he goes back in time, because fashion always repeats itself or reinvents themselves. The trends change on a daily, so it's just like you look up and it's a new. Remember the shoes that had like the rabbit feet, and everybody was talking about them. Like, I would not wear them. No, I would not. The Crocs from IKEA, the IKEA shoes. I mean, all sorts of things
Mhm.
they come up with. It's genius. Each designer has their own thing. Patrick Kelly is another one of my favorite fashion designers. So I would have to say La Roche. I would get La Roche to dress me.
Okay, I like that. All right, yeah. That's all I had for you. I was just trying to think of questions off the top of my head. So
And
hopefully
they're great
hopefully your
questions.
hopefully the
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
audience learned more about Stevie, you know?
Yes. Yes. And I try to be as transparent as possible. My colleague Bubs the God, yourself, Latroy, we just got to know each other today. We met face to face finally. We've been talking it up and chopping it up.
Mhm.
And it's been a great conversation. And I would love to chat with you again because again, like I said, it feels like you're chatting with an old friend.
Right.
And you want to be able to build more and more bonds with other black content creators. And that's what I want to do. Because it's just like it's more of me. It's more than just Style by Stevie. It's other faces out here that we need to shine a light on as well too. Love what you're doing with the good old boys. Love what you're doing on Stop, Look, and Listen, and love what you're doing on Forecast Media, which is your brand. So continue to keep doing it. Continue to keep being the voice. We all have to continue to keep doing it. I'll be going live tonight with my colleague Bubs the God. We're doing something called a state of emergency. Going to be discussing everything that is going on with this administration, and I can be as free. I had to be restrained in this conversation because didn't want Latroy because he doesn't cover just politics. Me, I'm politics all day. I will keep you informed, but I'm like I don't want to do all that with my guests. Not everybody is political. So again, you have to learn their story. But we see these things. Black people, we're seeing everything. All of us, every black person in America, we're seeing these things that affect us and harm us being rolled back. And tonight is going to be a state of an emergency. Bubs the God will be discussing it, and then Owl Tit for Tat is doing something as well too on how we can heal trauma within the black community. That's something you also covered on your network as well.
Right.
And that is something we have to, as it pertains to mental health. Mental health, you've covered that as well too.
I have.
So, I mean, as black people, we have to talk about these things because we can't continue to keep sweeping it up under the rug. And what's been taught to us before we wrap is that what goes on in this house stays in this house. We're not doing that no more. We got to break that generational curse. If it causes me harm, talk about it. And I think it was Michelle Obama or somebody. I think it was Michelle Obama. She spoke about mental health. She said the 8 years that she's been in the White House, if you read her book, Becoming, she talks about that from her journey from Michelle LaVaughn Robinson, girl from the South Side, to becoming the First Lady of the United States, the first black woman First Lady of the United States of America. So she talks about that in her book, The Mental Health 8 years. This woman has been through so much, and that is a living testament to each and every one of us as black people that we have to talk about it. Don't sit and suffer in silence.
I
Because I
think
know a lot
she
of us.
I think
Go
she's
ahead, I'm sorry.
showcasing I think she's showcasing that now
Oh,
more than ever.
yeah.
Like the way that she skipped Jimmy Carter's funeral because she didn't want to be around um Trump.
The Orange
And
Agent,
and
Agent
the
Orange.
inauguration, she skipped the inauguration. I think she's showing like, look, my mental health comes before some public appearance, photo op. So yeah, you definitely need to like do a self diagnosis and be like, you know what, this just isn't good for me, or I'm not feeling this right now, and stay home, stay in your sanctuary.
Absolutely. 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 And protect your peace. Protect your peace. Find your joy in these times because I know the news, that's one thing they said it was going to do. They was going to flood the zone. We're going to see headline after headline. Black people are seeing it, but we're just tuning out. We are doing another resistance, and this resistance is called joy. So we're
Hmm.
seeing the videos of people out here line dancing, boots on the ground, all of these things, but we're also being vigilant and we're talking about it. But we're saying, hey, we're not going to do this, but we're also being strategic and petty as well too. And I love black people. I love us so much, y'all petty. Target lost money. It brought me so much joy. I said, y'all bent the knee. Y'all got Tabitha Brown and all of these other black brands in your store, and you're wanting to bend the knee to him and give him what he wants. Okay. Black people, we organized and we understood the assignment. Walmart as well too. Amazon as well too. And I say, keep going on. There's nothing more beautiful than a rich white man that owns a certain social media platform crying on Fox News about losing money. It brings me so much joy. Black people, we petty in our own way, and I love it. Mwah. Love to see it. Keep going. And that's what we have to continue to keep doing. Because just how they spend money, black people spend money too, and we are the most paid contributors to this country in the United States of America. And it's important that we continue to keep holding on to our black dollars, investing into black owned businesses, black owned media. Again, Forecast Media. Please go and check out LaTroy's platforms, the good old boys. Make sure that you're going to stop, look, and listen. I see you, King. The Royal Couch is another black-owned platform. We've had so many pop up in here, from K-Tubes to Bubs the God to my brother, Demario King Jives. It was so many that popped up in here. Next week, we have Conscious TV coming on April 22nd. So, I mean, you're getting, it's like going into an ice cream shop and you're seeing all of the flavors of ice cream. You don't know which one to choose. You get all of the flavors of ice cream. It's more than enough room for everybody to shine. And that's what I want us all as black people, as black creators, to realize. It's enough room for everybody to shine. It's more than enough at the top. So come on in. Come on in and let's do this together. And let's continue to use our black dollars and pour into our businesses as well as other black creators' businesses as well too. So shout outs to them.
Yeah.
Thank you, King.
I encourage all of you, like, to just continue to believe in your voice, the power of your voice. There's always going to be someone that's going to tell you that you're not good enough. Ignore them. Like, trust trust your voice, trust your platform, trust your talent. Um, Stick to your guns. Like, people are always gonna say, do it this way. The podcast I was doing for the tech company, they pretty much gentrified it the second season I produced it, and it took a nosedive. The first season, I had an ally, the person that hired me, that wanted more diversity amongst guests in the tech world.
Yes.
So we delivered that, and then the powers that be was like, no, like, we want white leadership. That's who we want on our show, and it didn't resonate. It had no soul. People didn't connect to it. So trust your creative process. Don't let people dictate anything that you're doing. Like, that's why we need our own black media, because we know what works. We we have the lemons for the lemonade, not them. So don't ever let anyone tell you that what you're doing is wrong. Just stick to your guns.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And continue to amplify your voices. Our black voices mean something, and our black dollars mean something as well too. So continue to boycott, continue to do what you're doing. Our voices are being heard and noise is being made. And John, I'm gonna quote the late John Lewis. He said we got to be the good kind of trouble. And black people are being the good kind of trouble. We're showing you where our money is, and we're pouring it into black-owned businesses, pouring into black-owned media, Black Star News Network. That's Roland Martin's platform. We need to be putting together black networks, working together. But what I love is that Mary Trump Media was inclusive. She included a black woman, a beautiful black woman by the name of Danielle Moody. And that's a platform y'all need to go and check out. And y'all think I'm radical because I was restrained today compared to Danielle. Y'all need to go and check Danielle out. She gonna give you a run for your money, and then some. But what I love about her also is that she's educated. She's right on top of it. She understands it. And she said, I want to educate the people. People were asking her, is she going to run for president? She said, I want to educate people. And that's what I want to do here on my platform. That's what we're doing on each and every one of our platforms, is educating the people in the back. People didn't know that tariffs were, they didn't pay them. We, the consumers, do. The everyday consumers. We pay that. Yes, yes. But China said, checkmate, I got you. I got something for you. So the final thought of the day is not really a final thought. It's more so of a Bible verse, Romans 12:2. And I want you all to remember that. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that by testing you may discern what is the will of God, what is good and acceptable and perfect. And I want you all to remember that. We are all being tested right now. This is a test because he wants us to hit those streets out there. And by as soon as black people hit those streets, like we've been doing for years, black people said, we're not doing that no more. We're going to sit back and observe. It's y'all turn to do the work. We're being strategic. And our resistance, our Project 2025 is to find joy. Because for decades, black people, we have been told we have to feel sad. We got to feel down. Y'all take away policies that hurt us. Yes, they hurt us. But at the same time, we are still walking in our joy. And we will do it happy. We will fight fascism. We will fight racism. And we will do it with a smile on our face. Because we know the real true history of this country. So the devil will not win. And I want you all to keep saying it to yourself. My mother said it to me too. I tell her everything that's going on because she's still trying to wrap her head around everything that's going on. We talk to our parents about it who are up in age. They help them get their heads out of the sand and help them realize that what we got is, this is big here. This is un-American. This is our world upside down as we know it. So to anybody who's feeling hopelessness, who's feeling despair, just know that this is a test that he's putting us all through. And it's either pass or fail, but we are going to pass. We will not fail. Keep saying it to yourself. You will not fail. You are not a failure. And you definitely earned it. Head Seth, who says that black people aren't qualified to be in these positions when we are. He's only qualified for his next bottle of scotch. But I want you guys to remember this. We will get through this. I want you all to remain encouraged. I want you all to be optimistic. So that is something that I want you all to take away from today's show, Fashion Dolls and Conversation. So LaTroy, any gems you would like to leave with the dolls? This is an hour-long conversation, y'all.
Oh, 2 hours, but
Yes.
that was a mic drop. That was a mic drop right there. So yeah, bottle that one. That was one for the ages. But I just want to, you know, thank you, Stevie, for opening up your platform and your community to me and falling in love with my story enough to, have a kid from Beaufort, South Carolina, share it with your listeners. Like I said, Forecast Media, you can find us on pushplaypods.com. Monday nights, well, Monday, Stop, Look, and Listen. Tuesday, The Good Old Boys. Wednesday,
Yes.
Unemployment Line with Doc and Larry. Thursday, Throw Up Tackle with D. Mario Washington, Doc, and Little John. Friday, we have Giant Robot Radio with Big Daddy Suede. We also have The Bedroom, hosted by D. Mario Washington. And Sunday, The Rainbow Bridge with Nashandra Mercer, aka N Murder. So check us out, pushplaypods.com. It's a variety of content. If you're a sports enthusiast, you like pop culture, you like the barbershop talk that me and the fellas deliver, or the interviews that I have, just check us out.
And you have it, Fashion Dolls. Forecast Media, the good old boys. Today, Fashion Dolls. Make sure you guys be aware. Tune in, head on over and subscribe to LaTroy's YouTube channel as well too, and hit that bell so you'll be notified. Again, you'll get the shorts, you'll get everything, and the shorts are also informative because it gives snippets of LaTroy having the conversation with his guest, and you'll feel impacted. That's how I learned about unlocking your potential. That was one of the conversations on there. So again, continue to support Black media. I want you all to be mindful, vigilant, and aware. And in these dangerous times, please protect your peace. Be aware. Again, State of Emergency broadcast tonight on Bob's the Gods platform at 8 p.m. And Tip for Tap will be going live. I think he's already live now. But I have to catch up. I'm going to upload everything to the channel. Head on over and subscribe to Style by Stevie Daytime on YouTube if you have not, and hit that community tab. You'll see information there as well. Facts, women's history, black history, whatever you want to know, it's there. So make sure you guys also stay informed here on all your political news. And I'll keep you updated as much as I can, as much as possible. So keep checking the stories. Also keep checking the feed here as well too. I love you all, and again, we're going to get through this. That orange demon will not win. Period. Like I said earlier today, I will never take my size 11 stiletto off of his neck. But I want you all to be mindful and be aware and stay alert to what's going on. Find a news outlet that works for you. Independent media right now is the best. So support independent media, support independent outlets, Black owned, LaTroy Forecast Media, Roland Martin Black Star News Network. Make sure you guys go and check him out as well too. So I love you all, fashion dolls. Be safe, be fierce, be fabulous, and be fearless. I love you all. Take care.